I'm State Representative Justin Simmons, and welcome to my legislative report. Today, we were at the Allentown Classification Terminal run by Norfolk Southern Train Company, and we're joined by David Pigeon, Manager of Public Relations for Norfolk Southern. David, how are you today?
I'm doing really well. Welcome to the Allentown Classification Terminal.
Thank you very much. David, what goes on in a yard like this?
This is what's known as a hump yard, which means that from points all over the eastern half of the United States, freight comes here on a train and it goes over a hill or a hump. What happens is the train will back up those freight cars up the hill to the hump. The cars are scanned to determine which of these 28 classification tracks it should go on, and each classification track is going to head to a different destination. So the freight car is scanned as it goes up the hill, and then it goes down the hill just with the use of gravity and brakes, and goes into the appropriate track. So it's known as a hump yard or a classification yard because when those trains come in, they're also going to go out somewhere.
How long has this yard been here?
It has been here for many, many decades. You had the Lehigh Valley Railroad here, you had the Penn Central Railroad here, I believe the Reading Railroad also operated here, and of course Conrail up until 1999, and then Norfolk Southern took ownership of it.
And where are these cars going to?
They are going, believe it or not, to all over the eastern part of the United States, anywhere east of the Mississippi, Birmingham, Alabama, Tennessee, Indiana, and even here into the Allentown region and all over New Jersey.
And where are they coming from?
Those same points. When we talk about the rail's impact on a regional economy, we really do talk about connecting local businesses with a larger domestic economy and even an international economy, because we serve every major port in the eastern half of the United States. So if you are a company that likes to ship internationally and you need to get your product to port, rail can provide that service for you. So it's not just servicing the Allentown region, but it services the entire eastern half of the United States. Plus, we hook up with every major western railroad. So if you need to get your goods to the Pacific coast, we can help provide and make that happen too.
How much traffic goes through a yard like this per day?
This yard handles roughly about 1,000 to 1,500 cars a day. Usually about 1,200, what we're averaging right now. That, of course, is dependent upon market conditions. When the economy is doing well, we're going to hump what we call hump more cars. If the economy is struggling, that number, of course, goes down. We don't want to see the economy struggle. We want to keep those numbers where they are or see them go up.
How much cargo comes through here per day?
It's a little difficult to quantify that, but what I can tell you is on average, the industry standard for one of these cars is 286,000 pounds. So if you can imagine agricultural product coming through here like corn or wheat or grain, if you can imagine steel coming through here, coiled or aluminum coming through here, just imagine the sheer weight of that in one single freight car and multiply that by 1,200.
What are some of the challenges a station like this faces?
The challenges that we have is trying to make sure that these cars get to the right classification track. 28 of these tracks, and they're going to destinations all across the eastern half of the United States, like Elkhart, Indiana, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, over into New Jersey, south to the Philadelphia area, Delaware, Alabama, Tennessee. So you can imagine taking care of more than 1,000 cars a day, making sure they go to the right track and getting these trains out on time. It's important, I think, for people to understand that as we stand here at this terminal, what happens in Ohio or what happens in Kentucky, Georgia, Tennessee could impact what's happening right here. So another challenge is the logistics. Railroad really is a logistics business, and our folks, our employees, have to achieve great logistical challenges or overcome those great logistical challenges every day just to make sure that one terminal like Allentown works efficiently.
Now, a lot of people, I think, in Pennsylvania see the Norfolk Southern train cars go by. How big of a presence do you have in Pennsylvania?
In Pennsylvania, we are the largest railroad that operates in Pennsylvania. We have about anywhere from 4,500 to 5,000 employees, again, depending on market forces. We have major facilities here in Allentown, in Harrisburg. We also have a world-class locomotive shop in Juniata. Pittsburgh also has a number of important terminals, not just for Norfolk Southern, but for the nation's economy. So we have a strong presence here in Pennsylvania. It's one of our most valued states. So we always appreciate the support that we have from our legislators and our public officials, just because Pennsylvania is so vital to us.
What are some of the advantages using rail when moving cargo?
One of the first advantages we like to talk about is if you tie 1 ton of freight to a locomotive and 1 ton of freight to a tractor trailer, we can move that ton of freight at 4 times the fuel efficiency that truck can. The industry standard, or the industry average right now, is about 484 miles to the gallon to haul 1 ton of freight on a train. That's good for fuel efficiency. It's also good for the environment because it means lower emissions, and we're working hard right now to reduce our carbon emissions because it's good for the environment, and we're very conscious of that. Another advantage that we have with hauling freight over trains, or with trains, is that it's a privately owned network. We have 20,000 miles of rail that we own, that we pay to maintain. Here in 2013 alone, Norfolk Southern is paying about $2 billion in part to upgrade its own network, to do track maintenance, to do upgrades in yards and other places. Fathom that, it's $2 billion. Some corporations aren't even as large as $2 billion, and one railroad, we're pumping that much investment into our private network. What that means for the public and for shippers is taxpayer dollars are not going to maintain that rail network. So that's less wear and tear on the highways, on the public highways and the public roadways, which are, as you know, maintained by taxpayer dollars. So if we can take trucks off the roadway, which, by the way, an average train, a fully loaded train on average, can take 280 truckloads off the roadway.
Wow.
So if we can take trucks off the roadway, that means less wear and tear on our highways and our streets, and less taxpayer money that's needed to maintain that.
How are engines powered now?
Engines are primarily powered by diesel electric. We've come a long way from the days of steam and coal to where now we are primarily diesel electric.
And how often do the rails need to be replaced?
The rails here in this classification yard, every couple of years, maybe every 3 to 5 years, need to be replaced. You can see right now some of the classification tracks are getting work done by our maintenance of way folks. They're hardworking. They can do amazing work whenever we need to repair a line, because anytime a line goes down, that of course affects our ability to service our customers. We want to get that line up as safely and as efficiently as possible, and you would be amazed, you'd raise your eyebrows at how fast and how safe those guys can work and get those lines back up and running.
What are some of the biggest changes in the industry that you've seen?
Some of the biggest changes that we have, I think, is the shift that we see going on right now and in the future towards intermodal transportation. Now, this is not an intermodal yard. This is a traditional classic rail yard for a railroad, but intermodal are those containers or those tractor trailers that are lifted off a train and put onto a truck, or a truck brings it to a terminal and with a crane it's lifted back onto a train. You take the train takes a freight the hundreds of miles, the longest distance, and then it's picked up by a truck and taken the last couple of miles to perhaps a warehouse or another customer or another shipper. You're seeing a great focus right now in the rail industry on that because, again, the fuel efficiency. The Federal Highway Administration did a study and said that because of the rising demand for rail, intermodal is going to grow over the next 30 years, in part because of the wear and tear on our highways and because of congestion on our highways. So we take the freight off the highways, we haul it the long distance, less wear and tear on the public roadways, and hopefully that means less taxpayer money that needs to go to maintaining those roadways.
What type of regulations do you have to follow?
We are primarily regulated by the federal government because we are interstate commerce. So there is any number of smart regulations that are applied right now to the rail industry in terms of how the locomotives operate, how we ship, how we get the product from point A to point B safely and efficiently.
What do you see as the future for the industry?
I think intermodal is the real future for the industry. The growth in intermodal has been fantastic for the entire rail industry. You're going to see a lot of focus on that in the future going forward. We used to say that intermodal is the future. The intermodal is now. And we have an intermodal facility here in Allentown that's operated by a private operator. And I think the rail industry really has a bright future with intermodal.
How does one go about becoming a train conductor?
If you want to join Norfolk Southern as a train conductor, no prior experience is necessary. All you have to do is go to our website, nscorp.com. There you can apply for a job, get your application and your resume in. We do all our hiring online. when we bring you on board as a conductor, we will train you, and you start off as a conductor trainee. So you're in the yard, or you're working out on the road, or what we like to say is road, it's actually out on the track. You do that for a period of time before you become a full-time conductor, and then from there, you know, it's almost virtually limitless what you can do within the corporation. You can become an engineer and drive the trains, or you can move into another department. A lot of our management started off right here in the field in places like the Allentown terminal, and then they moved up into management positions. So there's a great possibility for a career here if you start off as a conductor.
Anything else you would like to add today, David?
I would just say that the rail industry has made tremendous strides in terms of safety. And safety not only for the railroad employees, but also safety for the product, safety for our customers, and safety for the public. I like to talk about everywhere I go the fact that we have roughly about 30,000 employees, about 300 right here in the Allentown area. It's important, I think, to know that those employees are your neighbors, and they drive the same roads, they cross the same crossings, their children go to the same schools as everybody else does. So we have a vested interest in making sure that we operate trains safely here in the Allentown area in our entire 22-state network.
Well, David, thank you very much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you guys were here, and let me know anytime you want to come back.
Thank you, and I appreciate you joining us today here at the Allentown Classification Terminal run by Norfolk Southern. That's all the time we have today for my legislative report. I'm State Representative Justin Simmons, and please join us again next time. Thank you.